It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and I wanted to recap Jellyfin. Now, I did Jellyfin quite a while ago, and I wanted to talk about it again. So if you're a Plex user, or maybe you use Emby these days, and you haven't heard of Jellyfin, then you definitely need to check it out. It's gotten so great, and the Jellyfin guys are just constantly putting out updates. I really love what they've been doing, and it's just, over time gotten so much better than it was in the past. So I wanted to kind of cover it again and how easy it is to install and get running and self-host your own media. That's really what it is. It's a media system for self-hosting your own videos, photos, movies, TV shows, music, kind of anything like that that you want to self-host and stream to your different various systems. So if you've got the Fire Stick from Amazon, or if you've got the Google streaming thing, Google Cast, I can't remember what the heck it's called, sorry, Roku players, and there are apps for the Apple TV. Now, they are working on an official Jellyfin app for the Apple TV, but today there's a couple of other apps out there that you can get, and they're actually pretty good. There's a couple of them, so I'll get the names of those and put them in the show notes as well for you guys, just in case you're interested. But Jellyfin is working on its own official app for the Apple TV as well. And then they've got apps for the iPhone, iOS, for Android, for iPad, kind of just anything you want to use there. So setting up Jellyfin and using it as your media streamer is just, to me, really smart, and it's fully open source. That's one of the great things about it. So if you're paying for something, and don't feel like it's a bad thing that you pay for software, a lot of software is worth paying for. I don't want to ever make it sound like you shouldn't pay for software. I think it's great that you can get it and run it and make changes to it. The free and open source really means freedom. It does not mean free of cost. So I want to make sure that I'm really emphasizing that. And Jellyfin, if you like Jellyfin, you can donate to Jellyfin. You can provide money to Jellyfin to keep it going and support that system. I did a video recently on ZoneMinder, and I've had a few people who had really strong opinions about ZoneMinder. They don't like it for some reason. I think it's been running really terrific for me. But one of the things was that somebody said there's no free and open source NVRs out there that are any good. They were all crap, which that's an opinion, and everybody's got a right to their own opinion. I disagree. I think that Shinobi is terrific. I think ZoneMinder is terrific. I think Frigate is freaking awesome. And honestly, when it's open source and it's just volunteers working on it, the level of software that we get out of that is just absolutely incredible. When you think about Linux is open source software, and it has just hundreds of thousands of contributors who've made it terrific. When you think about all of the open source software that I cover and realize this is people who primarily just donate their time to make this great, I hope you appreciate how amazing that is. Now, if you need a software system for production, for enterprise, for your company, and your company is not about using open source software, then you should not try to use open source software without first going to them and saying, here's what we can do with this, here's why it's great, here's why we should support it. And I do believe that companies should support open source software and start putting that in the enterprise. The only way to make something that you think is not great in open source and take it and turn it into something that's great in open source is to use it and give feedback and provide some kind of support, whether it's contributing through code, whether it's contributing through money, whether it's contributing through documentation, whether it's going onto their community forums and answering questions and helping other people get the best experience out of it possible, then that's the way that you make something really great. Now I'm going to get off my soapbox. I'm going to get back to the topic, which is Jellyfin. Jellyfin, I think, is a terrific media player. Again, if you're using Plex and you like what it's got, take a look at Jellyfin. You might really like it. And so we're going to install Jellyfin and kind of go through all of the great things that it can do. And it's really not too hard to get installed using Docker. I'm just going to use Docker because that's really, to me, the simplest way to do it these days. They used to have installable things. They probably still do for like Ubuntu and stuff like that. But right here, software freedom is important. So this is where I think we really win. I don't think that we're going to see them going and closing this thing and trying to charge for it. Doesn't mean they won't, but this gives me hope that they won't. But there you go. See it in action. So you can kind of get a few little screenshots here of what it looks like. And I'm going to show you my system as well. Now they have live TV. That's one part that I don't use. So there's the schedule for live TV. If we click on it, you can kind of see what it looks like there if you're trying to use that thing. I don't use that myself, but I think it's terrific that they've got it. I'm going to click back. Yeah, there we go. Their library features and everything like that are great. I really like what they do, and the player is pretty awesome. So yeah, it's really cool. So I'm going to jump over to my Jellyfin here and just kind of show you what I have. So I have movies, and then I have my television stuff broken up into TV archive and TV shows. And I've got lots of things that I've archived over the years. And here you can see different things that people have been kind of watching at different times. And mostly it's my mom, I think. I have an account set up for her where she can stream different things and kind of enjoy what she's watching. You know, enjoy her media. Here you can see different things that I've got and different things that we like to watch. Now, I will say, I pay for cable. Anything on here, I already pay for access to, so understand that. This is not me just going out and flat out pirating stuff. If you see movies, I have paid for those and bought the DVDs and ripped them, or paid for the downloads. Just kind of whatever is here is stuff that I have rightfully paid for, and you should pay for those things. That's what keeps those shows going. If you love a show, you should make sure that you're paying the company that keeps that show going so that it continues to go. Now, yes, they make tons of money. Yes, actors make tons of money, but you know what? If you want the show to keep going, that's what you got to do. That's the price you have to pay. So just understand that. But this is kind of what you get when you get to the dashboard, I guess, and you see that you've got these different categories. So if I click on movies, you'll see just tons of movies, and they're in alphabetical order. And over here on the left, you've got this navigation where you can just jump to a certain letter, and it breaks it down and filters it for you for all of the movies that have that letter in the name. You can just hit the little back arrow up here, and you're back to movies. If you hit the movies again, you can also just filter. You've got different filters that you can use here. And then you can search. The search is actually pretty good. So if I go and search for best of the best, we're going to get the best of the best movies. Now, there's actually one more, and I don't know why it doesn't come up, but I've probably got it named incorrectly. But there you go. Best of the best movies come up. If we hit home, we can go back to the top, and we can look at TV archive. And I've got a few different things here that I've got the DVD sets for, and I've ripped so that I could actually watch these things whenever I feel like and just kind of enjoy them. And my mom can also stream and kind of watch these things too. She's a huge fan of Northern Exposure and Carol Burnett, and I'm a huge fan of these others. So and both of these, by the way. But yeah, so we'll go back to the home. We've got TV shows, and then these are the TV shows that come down through the cable system so that I can kind of enjoy those things that are a little bit more current as well. So you can kind of see what's going on as far as this goes, and it shows you where I have unwatched episodes and things that we need to watch, and the check mark means that you've watched everything that's currently there, which is another nice feature of the system. And then you've got suggestions, you've got upcoming. So really nothing here, right? But here's suggestions for things, genres, you know, just so many different ways to kind of break this apart and kind of see what you have as far as just different information. But, you know, right here is the view that I use 99% of the time, and it's pretty great. So if we go back, I do have music. Now, I don't have any of the music stuff set up, so you don't really see a lot here. But yeah, it does do music as well. So if you want to stream your music through that, you can. And again, there's phone apps and things like that. If you want to take your phone with you and listen to your music streaming from your home systems, you can set that up. But there you go. I mean, Jellyfin, pretty simple, pretty straightforward and easy to use. And then if you click over here on the left and you're if you're the admin user, then you also get some other setup as well. And there's a lot of different things that you can do as far as setup. So you go to the dashboard, which is kind of an odd way to do that. But then you can come down here and you can access your libraries, and you can add new libraries and create new libraries and add new sources of media. And we'll talk about how you get these sources of media set up in Docker in just a minute when we do the install. And then you've got users, again, like I've said. You've just got all these different things that you can go through and see, like what devices have been accessing. And you've got Quick Connect, and you've got so many different great little features in here. And a lot of these things I don't use. A lot of this is stuff that I've not had to set up because I really just stream here on my local network to my different devices. Or maybe I open it up in a browser occasionally to do a little bit of maintenance work and things like that. But yeah, I mean, this is really pretty great. So you've got different applications that you can set up and plugins and so on. But yeah, really, I mean, this is just kind of the setup here. So I'm going to go back to the main screen, and we're going to jump over, and we're going to look at the setup for Jellyfin. I want to say thank you to all of my patrons over at Patreon and my subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for all of your support. I love doing this channel. I love making this media and this content for you. I hope you enjoy it as well. I do post all of the videos now over at Patreon after one of my patrons made the suggestion, and I don't know why it didn't dawn on me before that. But if you're interested in seeing them through Patreon and getting a notification through Patreon instead of through YouTube, or hoping that YouTube's algorithms happens to show it to you, jump over and become a supporter on Patreon, patreon.com. I've got the links in the description and the show notes. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. And really, this is what I had to set up. So I have set up a media location, and you can see here that this is the path to that location. So I have a really big virtual drive that I set up, and it's mounted on this machine that runs my Docker stuff. So inside of Docker, I created a folder called Jellyfin, and we'll take this and we'll look at it in the terminal here in just a minute so you can see it a little bit easier. But this volume that I wanted to set up, there's a couple of volumes here. So there's the config. This is an important one because this is where you save all of your data for Jellyfin. So you want to make sure that this one is backed up so that if you ever have to restore it, it's real easy and no problem. This one is your cache for Jellyfin. And then this one is where all of your media is stored. So this just points Jellyfin to your media locations, and then you can go into the Jellyfin UI and basically use it to set up all of your different information for movies, TV shows, music, whatever you have. Now in this case, I'm using net equals host, but I do believe now you can set up the ports on Jellyfin and you can actually forward the ports. This was just the easiest, and they use a really weird port anyways. It's like 8096, so I've just left it this way. I've never changed it, but you can go and set up ports. Name is Jellyfin, and that's just the name of the actual Docker container. And then it runs unless I stop it. So if I restart the server, it'll restart for me and just be running unless I tell it to stop specifically. And then this is the image that we use. So if you want to set this up, which is kind of what I've done and set it up, I want to show you how that works. So I'm going to go into my terminal application here. I'm going to make this a little bit larger. I'm going to make the font a little bigger for you guys. And we're just going to clear that, and I'm going to cd into my Docker folder. So I have a Docker folder right here in my home folder. So if I do ls, you can see I have a lot of little things here, but one of them is a Docker folder. So I'm just going to cd into Docker, and I'm going to do ls. In fact, we'll clear it in ls so it's easier to see. And right there, you'll see I have Jellyfin right here. So we're just going to cd into Jellyfin. And if I do an ls, you'll see there's a bunch of stuff that gets created, but it's not anything that I really put here. The only thing I put is this docker run.txt file, and that's just the docker run command that I use so that I've got it and I don't have to go back and look through my history and stuff. I just save it there. So we'll just do a nano on docker run.txt, and it's exactly what you were just looking at. We're just looking at it in the code server application. But right here, so we're going to do docker run, and we're going to set up a volume, and this is just home Brian Docker, and then this is the folder we're in currently, which is Jellyfin, which is not spelled correctly. I have 3 L's there for some reason, but that's just me not typing correctly. Don't worry, you don't have to spell it wrong. You can spell it the correct way. But create a Jellyfin folder inside of your Docker folder, and then create this config path, and it's :/config, and then the backslash just tells the terminal like, hey, don't run this until I get all of the lines of this command in there so I can have it as a multi-line command. It's easier to read. Next, we've got another volume that we're going to map, which is home Brian Docker Jellyfin, and then the cache or cache. So then we're just going to put that to /cache and then space and a backslash, right? And then one more volume, and this is the important one really, these two, first one and this one. Mount, and then this is the name of the volume, video, and then I have a folder in there called ARR, and then a folder called data, and then a folder called media, and inside of media I have some other folders. So what we'll do is we'll jump out of this real quick. So we're going to go and look at /mount /video r data media, and we'll ls, and you can see right here I've got torrents, I've got music, but I've also got movies, I've got TV, and then I've got my TV archive. So if I cd into TV, we'll clear this in fact, there we go. So here under Mount Video ARR Data Media, I've got a TV folder. And right here you can see I've got different seasons set up. And this is just how Jellyfin likes to have it set. And actually you can use something like Sonar to help you get this all set up correctly so that it sets up all of your different series folders. And here you can see that for some reason it set up one called Magnum PI without the dot, and then here's Magnum PI with the dot. Don't know why it did that, but hey. And then we've got all these different folders for all the different shows that I watch. And then inside of these folders, it has the season folder. And then when that season folder, it has all the episodes. That's just how Jellyfin likes it. Jellyfin doesn't really care. It'll break into the seasons based on the name of the file. But Sonar likes to have them in the season folders, which it just makes it easier to find stuff, honestly. So that's great. So we'll go back and we'll go back to Docker. So if we're going to do this from scratch. So I have my Docker folder. I would do mkdir Jellyfin. And now I have a folder called Jellyfin. So I'm going to cd into Jellyfin. And there's nothing there. So I would just make a file called nano docker run.txt. And I'll have this in the show notes so that you guys can just go copy and paste, basically make it a little bit easier. You'll just have to change the paths. But I'll go down and I'm going to say somewhere. Here we are. I'm just going to copy this right here. And then I'm going to go back and we're just going to paste. There it is. So I've got everything pasted in exactly like I want it. Now I might need to change this in this case here. Right there. So this is going to create basically a new install of Jellyfin. Now I can't call it Jellyfin, so I'm going to call this Jellyfin demo. Just the name for me has to be different because I'm already running a Docker container called Jellyfin. And then I'm going to save this with Control O and Enter, and then Control X to exit Nano. And if we do an ls now, you'll see there's our docker run.txt. Now the way I like to do this is I do cat docker run.txt, and here's all of the text that I need. I can highlight that, right click, copy, and then right click, paste. And you see it pastes everything in. And now I can just run it. It's going to have a port conflict, I think, because it's already got Jellyfin running on that port. And we haven't configured anything because we didn't get into it, but if we do nano docker run.txt, we should be able to come down and do, I think we just do -p. Come on. There we go. Nope. And then we're going to do 8196 colon 8096. And then we're going to do Control O to save, Control X to exit, and we'll clear, and we'll do cat docker run.txt. And again, we'll just highlight. Now, I did a right click and paste a while ago. Just going to middle click with Linux here, hit enter. It's going to try to start it again. It doesn't have to pull it all down again because we've already got it pulled down, which is pretty nice. And then we'll go back and check out Portainer here, and we'll just refresh. And we'll look at Jellyfin demo. And it says it's running on 8196. There it is. So we've got Jellyfin running, and this is what you get when you first start Jellyfin. So that's really all there is to it to start it. You need to know where your media is and have that path ready, and then come into Jellyfin. So I'm going to go over here to the quick start guide. Actually, we can just say English United States. Let's just go to next. And we want a username, so I'm just going to call this Brian, and we want a password. And you want to make it a nice strong password so nobody gets to your media. And first thing it wants is like set up your media libraries. So we're going to click on add, and you're going to pick a type. So we're just going to say movies. And then it wants to know like what's the display name, which is movies. You could call this my favorite movies. It doesn't matter. And you need to add a folder. So you're going to click on the plus. And right here you can see that it's kind of got things set. So we're going to say media. And then you see it digs down as you go. So we're going to say movies. And we're going to say OK. And then here's our library settings. The preferred download language, and you can pick that if you want to. Your country, poster embedded title over file names, a bunch of little settings that you can kind of go choose how this works if you want. But for me, I just kind of leave the defaults other than having to get the file name, the folder name set up, and then the path. And I'm going to hit OK. So there it is. It's going to go out and it's going to start trying to grab this information. And we can just go ahead and hit next. So if I was going to add others, I'd add them, of course. And We're going to finish up, configure remote access. So right now I'm going to say no, but if you want to allow remote connections to this server, then you can. In fact, we'll just go ahead and say it. Yeah, so if you don't check this box, all remote connections are going to be blocked. So basically anything that's not on your local network, it's not going to let you access this thing. So it's kind of a security feature. So if you do want to access it off of your network, you want to have this box checked. And then automatic port mapping is up to you. I'm not going to do that. I can just do it through my router. And it says I'm done. I'm going to finish up. And here we go. So it wants you to log in the first time. And then you can put remember me or not. It's kind of up to you. I'm going to say sign in. We don't need to save it there. Here's my movies. So if I click in, it's got one. It has to go out and it has to basically pull down all of the information for all of your movies and files and things. It could take a little bit. It just depends on how long it's going to run. If you look now, you see it starting to pull more stuff in. So the more time you give it, the better it's going to get. The longer we wait, the more files we'll end up getting. So there we go. We've added a couple more already. So it's trying to get the posters and all of the information, which is pretty great, right? And here you can click on watch it. You can just click off of don't click here. If you click here, it's going to play. If you click there, you're going to go into the detail area. You can see the different information about the people that are in the movie. I don't think this is the correct cast. Yeah, it's not. So I don't know where they're getting this from, but yeah, I don't know where it's pulling the data from either. So you can kind of go and check out those things and see if it's accurate, but you can always give it the correct identification as well. So you can re-identify things if you need to. If it doesn't pull the correct movie, anything like that, then you can tell it, hey, this isn't right. I need you to go get the right one. So if we go back and we come back in, yeah, there's a lot more stuff here now, so you can kind of see what's going on there. You can see my extremely diverse taste in movies. Maybe some people call it bad taste. I don't know. I enjoy them. So there we go. There's movies. So we've set up a library. And if you want to set up another one, you just go into the settings, go to your dashboard, go to libraries, and then you just add another one. Same thing. And you can see here what the progress is of the movies library getting set up and everything like that. It takes a while. Be patient the first time especially. But then as you add things, it will automatically check at X hours, X minutes, whatever. But if you're in a hurry, if you add something and you want it to find it, you click here and then you just do scan library, and then choose this one right here. Just take the default, hit go. There are other options though for rescanning, and then you're done. And it'll start scanning right then, and it'll show you a little indicator here of how much it scanned. So if you're trying to add new stuff, and wait and ready to go watch it right then, and you don't want to wait, you can do it that way. You can kind of basically force it to scan instead of waiting for it to do it on its own. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of the highlights of it. There's more, and of course, like I said, you can add users, you can add so many different things once you kind of get the system up and running and ready. Initially, this is kind of what you're going to see. And you can always click on home here to get back to the main screen, and it shows you just different things as it finds them. So again, if we click, you can see we're really starting to get quite a few movies identified here. And again, you can kind of click in and see details about it. Now, how good those details are just depends on where it pulls it from. This looks accurate to me for this movie. Great movie, by the way. If you've never watched it, I enjoyed it quite thoroughly. So that's why I have it on DVD. But yeah, this is Jellyfin. If you're wanting to see Jellyfin, like on Roku, they have an official Roku app. Just go get it. And then you need to know the IP address and the port number of your Jellyfin instance. So in this case, I would use 192.168.10.26, and my port would be 8196. And then it'll ask you to log in. So use your username and the password you created, log in, and it's just going to pull this stuff up on Roku just like that. I imagine it's the same process for doing it on Fire Stick or on the Google Chromecast. And it's pretty similar on the Apple TV apps as well. So I'll link those Apple TV apps for you guys down in the show notes. But yeah, this is Jellyfin. I think it's a really terrific media player. I really enjoy just watching and just letting it do its thing. It's basically, I don't have to mess with it much, honestly. I just kind of update it when I hear that there's updates. And I'll say, if you use something like Watchtower, you might want to put Jellyfin on the list of, hey, let me know when there's updates, but don't update it for me, because they do make changes occasionally that are breaking changes, and you just want to know, like, okay, how do I fix it once I update? And they have really good instructions on what you need to do. And it's been a long time since I've seen a breaking change, but it does happen occasionally because it is still, being developed very heavily. So just be aware of that. But yeah, super terrific application. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along on the journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.